Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be taking a look at the latest odds for the Lions' 17th overall pick, diving into how much Brad Holmes trades and who we could trade up for if he did so, and discussing a safety prospect that the Lions could be taking in the first round. All of that and much more on today's edition of Lions Roundtable. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. It's very much appreciated. Now let's look at these odds. So the projected favorite is tackle Caden Proctor out of Alabama. We've talked about him a lot. No need to discuss him again, but not surprised that he's the favorite. Second, Spencer Fano. That's my guy. I would love the Lions to draft him at 17, and I really do think it's a realistic option, and so does FanDuel. Georgia tackle Amon-Ra Freeling. We've talked about him a lot. High upside guy there. Guard out of Penn State. I'm not even going to attempt his name. Let's just go with Vega. This guy's a stud. He could fill right in and probably be an elite level guard his rookie year. I think this is one of the most safe picks in the first round for any team that ends up with him. Tennessee corner Jermod McCoy. I find this a little interesting. I don't really think the Lions will take a corner, but I guess if we do, this could be around the range for Jermod McCoy to go. So that's not really that crazy. And then we've talked about Auburn defensive end Keldrick Falk, and the one I skipped, Blake Miller with the target by his name. I want to talk about him today. Blake Miller is my offensive tackle 5. He's behind those 3 guys at the top of this list, and he's behind the first tackle, Francis Mauigoa, which a lot of people think will go early, so I don't really think that's an option for the Lions at 17. But Blake Miller, I'll read some of my notes. He's 6'7", 317 pounds, 34-inch arm length. I mean, that's just great size, great arm length, 2 things that are important at the tackle position. He's very fluid and controlled. That was my main takeaway from watching him. This guy can move in pass protection. Like, he looks like one of the fastest tackles out of this draft, and I think we could get him at 17. That would be very impressive. He's an experienced starter. He started 4 years at Clemson. That's big. He's athletic. He's solid in the run game. He's not exceptional, but he's definitely very capable. He has a violent mentality when doing so, and I think the Lions would like that. He played right tackle at Clemson. So I think if we did end up drafting him, Panay would move to the left tackle, and then we would have a stud duo right away. The one thing I think he could improve on is just he's not the strongest. Sometimes I could see bull rushers would give him problems, and in the NFL, that could become a bigger problem. I don't know. He could always put on strength, always put on muscle throughout the off seasons and stuff like that. But if I had to say one flaw in his game, that's what it would be. I compared him to Raiders tackle Colton Miller. He could slide in and help solidify our offensive line. I mean, I think he kind of plays like Taylor Decker too. That was kind of my other draft comp, like former Lions left tackle from last year and for the past decade, whatever it was. He's just a pass pro heavy guy, not a mauler in the run game, but he's going to put his best effort forward. I really like Blake Miller. I think this is a solid option at 17. I wouldn't be the happiest man on the earth, but I wouldn't be mad at it either. And we'd be getting a good tackle day one. I think he's a pretty safe pick at the position, so I'd be fine with it. All right, now let's take a look at this stat. Brad Holmes has made 27 total trades in his 5 NFL draft, averaging 5.4 trades per draft. That's a lot of trades. I would have to guess that's near the top of the list, if not top. I always knew that Brad Holmes traded a lot. I didn't really expect it to be that much, and that's what kind of makes it hard. Like, he kind of can – like, I'm going to make a Lions predictive mock draft. I'm going to make a first-round mock draft, and he makes it hard for people that do those things to get a lot of things right. But, I mean, it's just how he likes to build his team, and I know he takes the draft serious, so he's going to do what he can do to get his guys, and I honestly agree with it. I made a little list here. some realistic trade options in the first round. Any offensive tackle, I just think if he falls in love with a guy and he's falling a little bit, he's gonna go get him. I just think it's as simple as that. And I'm honestly starting to lean like if I had to predict what's gonna happen, are we gonna stay put, or trade up? I'm honestly thinking trade up. I had to throw Sonny Styles on here. We've talked about him. He's my favorite prospect in this whole draft. I can't imagine he really falls too far. And if any world he falls outside of the top 10, we better go get him. I'm going to be screaming at the TV to do so. Cornerback Mansour Lane. This is the best corner in the draft. If he falls outside of the top 10, could Brad Holmes move up for him? I could see it. Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State, the best safety that's in this class, the best safety in college football for the past 3 years. I mean, he started his freshman year at Alabama under Nick Saban. Not a lot of people do that. This has just been a stud since day one out of high school. If he falls, could the Lions move up and go get this guy? I think he's my favorite defensive back in the whole class, so I would not be opposed at all. Vega, we just talked about him a little bit, but he's a sure thing. If the Lions want to get a piece on the offensive line, get a stud guard, could see it. And I left this name on the bottom, Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami, edge rusher. I wanted to talk about him a little bit. He's my edge rusher too, and I honestly have a top 7 grade on him. And recently I've been seeing that he's going around 10, 11, 12. People have him falling outside of the top 10, which is crazy to me because he's just a stud player. And they're putting this, I'll read my notes on him. He's an elite pass rusher. His bull rush is elite. That's his go-to move. He's always going to result back to that, and it works a lot of the time. He's a power rusher, endless motor. That's a big thing. Aiden Hutchinson kind of has that too. He's just never going to give up on a play, and he's going to rack up a couple sacks a year just off his motor. Great tape throughout the year. Production is through the roof. He had double-digit sacks, inside and outside versatility. This is big for me. I really like guys that can rush from both on the outside and the inside. If it gets to a 3rd and long and we want to have 3, maybe even 4 edge rushers on the field, if you have another guy that can do it, you can move Ruben Bain inside, and he was just as productive. He's a physical guy. I love that about him. And then his concern, what I was about to talk about, the reason that he's fallen is because of his arm length, and I think it's crazy. A guy that's produced that much all year long and in the college football playoffs, you kind of got to realize at some point this guy's different, and his short arm length should not drag him down this much. He was easily the most productive edge in college football this year, and he's outside of the top 10 in some mock drafts. It's crazy to me. And if that does happen, I'd want the Lions to go move up and get him. This is just a stud player, a stud edge, and he would make an impact on our defense day one. And you put him across from Aiden Hutchinson and those 2 players coming off the edge, that's scary. I don't think teams in the NFC North would be very happy if we got Ruben Bain. But if we were going to trade up, how far would you want us to trade up? And if we did, who would you want us to trade up for? That's my question of the day. So leave it in the comments down below. And finally, let's take a look at this safety. So the safety that I've been talking about is Dillon Thieneman out of Oregon. It says he's a legit first-round talent and deserves to go top 20. What I replied was, most Lions fans are guaranteeing the pick to be a tackle or edge. If we did go in a different direction, don't be surprised if it's a safety. And if so, I've talked about Caleb Downs. I feel like that would have to be a trade up, but Dillon Thieneman kind of fits right around that 17 area. And I just think this is a complete player. I'll give you some of my notes about him, but some reasons I think we could take a safety in general. This doesn't just have to be about him. A safety in general, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are both coming off injury. We don't know if either of them will be healthy to start the year. We've brought in some depth guys, yes, but are they really going to start? Do we want those guys to start? And the thing is you might be saying, okay, what if Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch do come back fully healthy and end of the year they're both playing? Okay, well, Dillon Thieneman can play in the slot if he needs to. Brian Branch came out as a slot corner, and he played his rookie year. We know he can play in the slot. you're going to find a way to get your best players on the field, and your secondary would be a lot better, and I think it would improve. And I think that's one of the main weaknesses that we constantly have is our pass defense. And having 3 studs out there would change that a lot. I'll read some of my notes real quick. He's 6 foot, 201 pounds. Okay, so his freshman year, he was at Purdue. He was a ball hawk, and he showed that, and that's kind of how he got his name out there. Then he transferred to Oregon for this year, which was his junior year. He spent 2 years at Purdue. He's a great tackler, elite coverage, great athleticism and speed. He's just all over the field at all times. He's a rangy player. He's going to make plays on the ball. He's going to make great tackles, come down and hit people. I wrote down that he was just a disciplined player. He was always kind of in the right spot when you needed him, which is what you need from your safety position, but he's still going to make plays. My only really knock on him was that he's got that smaller size, so he can kind of get bullied in the run game if like a big guy gets a hold of him. That's going to be the case with a lot of safeties. Yeah, it's a first-round talent, but outside of that, he gives you pretty much everything else. His instincts are great. I mean, just all the things. My draft comp or my player comp was Harrison Smith, Viking safety. Obviously, he'd have to live up to some expectations to be that good, but that's a player he reminds me of. And this is just a stud player, and overall would help improve our secondary and our defense in general. And I just don't be surprised if we end up drafting this player in the first round. But that'll do it for today's episode of Lions Roundtable. I hope you guys have been enjoying this pre-draft process with me. Tomorrow's draft day. We finally made it. I'm so excited. I'll be active on Twitter and putting out videos after the first round completes, and then after the second and third, and then finally day 3. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Until next time, peace.